Privilege is a benefit that is assigned to a person based on an aspect of their identity. And most people cringe when they hear the word benefit because, frankly, it has been weaponized. And what they're hearing is white privilege and male privilege, and how those are evil things. There are lots of forms of privilege. There's education privilege. There's geographic privilege. There's economic privilege. The one I like to talk about, though, is internet privilege. 6% of Canadians do not have access to high-speed internet, regardless of whether or not they can afford it. Doesn't matter whether they can afford it. It's not available. I don't know if you heard, we had a pandemic and everything went online for 94% of Canadians. And 6% did not have the privilege of having internet. There are lots of forms of privilege. And the thing about privilege is it doesn't necessarily make you a bad person. You can't change it. There's nothing you can do about it. You know, I'm a white man. There's nothing I can do about that. So I'm not going to feel guilty about it. I'm going to use that privilege to the benefit of others. It doesn't mean that I'm universally privileged. You can experience hardship and still have privilege. If you grew up in a poor environment, that comes with hardship. That comes with all sorts of marginalization. But if you're a white man, you still experience the privilege of being a white man. I myself, I am gay, I'm gender nonconforming, and I live with 3 disabilities. I experience marginalization as a consequence of those identities. I'm still a white man, so I still experience those privileges. Where we see privilege coming out in the workspace is in opportunities not being afforded people because they don't experience privilege. An example is education. Post-secondary education comes with a level of privilege. The more you have, the more privilege you have. I mean, heck, if you get a doctorate, we give you a new title, doctor. Even though your doctorate is in philosophy and you can't save anyone's life, we still give it to you. The more education you have, the more privilege you have. In workplaces, that is absolutely true. I think it's something like 70% of jobs in Canada require post-secondary education. Whether or not they should is a whole different video. But that is a privilege that comes from achieving that post-secondary education. You can change your circumstances, but you can't change the privilege that comes with it. You can go and get an education. You can get a post-secondary education. You don't change the privilege that comes with that education. It's still going to exist. We see privilege in those moments where people are saying, oh, you know, in order to apply for this manager's role, you have to have a master's degree. That's privilege. And frankly, it's a conversation as to whether or not you really do need a master's degree in order to have that position. Privilege creeps into our lives all the time. And when I think about privilege, I always focus on using my privilege to the advantage of others. So creating more space for more people who don't experience my level of privilege.